We've all been there, right? Frustrated by some law that just makes no sense. But what if the problem isn't the law itself, or even the people who bend the rules? Today we're diving into a really provocative idea that points the finger at a completely different group, arguing that they're the ones who are truly responsible for the whole mess. Let's get into it. So, this is the big question, isn't it? It's a classic dilemma, and the perspective we're exploring today has a pretty wild answer. It suggests that the way we, as a society, deal with this question has changed in a very specific and honestly pretty surprising way.
Okay, so the first major point is that, for the most part, people have just stopped fighting bad laws head-on. Instead, they've gotten clever. It's all about adapting to the world as it is, not as it should be.
And what's really fascinating is how our approach has evolved. The idea here is that we've moved past the whole direct resistance thing. Today, it's all about finding these pyeonbab, these clever workarounds or loopholes. It's not really about defiantly breaking the law. It's more like an art form of navigating around the flawed parts without causing a big scene. It's just a practical way to survive.
And listen, this isn't some secret, shady thing only a few people do. This is presented as the normal, default setting for pretty much everyone. People just learn the rules of the game so they can find ways to keep moving without getting tripped up. And you know what? For most people, it actually works.
In fact, there's even a number put on it. Only about 1% of people ever actually get caught by these bad laws. The other 99%? They just manage to navigate around them and get on with their lives. Which, of course, begs the question, what's up with that 1%?
And this is where things take a really sharp philosophical turn. For that 1% who do get caught, the argument is that it's not bad luck, not at all. It's framed as if it was their destiny, that they were meant to be caught. Now that completely changes how you think about getting in trouble with the law, right? It goes from random chance to something almost fated.
So, this leads us right to the heart of the matter. If the public is just adapting, and the few people who get caught are basically fulfilling some sort of destiny, then who's actually responsible for this whole messy system in the first place? Who's to blame?
Well, the answer we're giving here is probably not who you're thinking of. The blame isn't pointed at the politicians who write the laws or at the public for working around them. Nope, it's aimed at a completely different group.
This group is called the intellectuals, or jishikin. Now, this term is really specific. It's not just about being smart or having a degree. It refers to a special class of people who are educated and supported by the blood and sweat of the nation. And because of that, they have a specific, almost sacred duty to make the laws better. They basically owe a massive debt to society.
So here's the core argument, plain and simple. Bad laws exist and persist for one reason. It's because these intellectuals are failing to do the very job that society raised them up to do. The whole system is broken because they're not holding up their end of the bargain.
And this isn't just some abstract problem for society. The speaker argues that this failure comes with a terribly high and deeply personal price for the intellectuals themselves.
You see this really stark contrast in how different people deal with hardship. The argument goes that when life gets tough for ordinary folks, they just dig in, they work harder, they adapt, they survive. But when life gets hard for the intellectuals who failed in their mission, they just can't handle it. They see no honorable way forward, and the struggle just feels humiliated. And this leads down what's described as a tragic but inevitable path. First, they fail in their great duty to society. Because of that, their own lives start to fall apart. Then, they find they just can't bear that hardship, especially mixed with the shame of their failure. And so, the final step, according to the speaker, is that they take their own lives.
And the source is crystal clear on this. This isn't a punishment that someone else gives them. It's described as a kind of internal collapse. It's the direct, personal result of failing to live up to their unique purpose in the world.
But, it doesn't have to be that grim. This dark outcome isn't the only option. The speaker also paints this really powerful picture of what's supposed to happen, the true mission these intellectuals were always meant to be on.
So, what is their job exactly? Well, their mandate is basically to be society's master problem solvers. They're supposed to analyze problems correctly, to fix and polish the laws until they're fair, and ultimately, to get rid of the very things that make people complain in the first place. Their real job is to make the nation's dream of a better society come true.
And here's the big payoff. The claim is that if this group simply does the job they were created for, the whole problem of bad laws just goes away. The workarounds, the frustration, that 1% getting caught, all of it would just vanish into thin air.
We end on this final, really challenging thought. The responsibility isn't spread out equally. Fixing a society's deepest problems, its broken laws, is presented here as a very special job, a burden placed entirely on the shoulders of this one group. And that leaves you with a huge question, doesn't it? Is this a necessary blueprint for a just society, or is that a burden just too heavy for anyone to bear?